The market was dark, noisy, and filled with strange smells. It was not the kind of place most people visited, but tonight many had come. Rich buyers in black coats whispered to each other. Guards with metal masks stood near cages. And inside, one cage sat a glowing alien girl. Her skin was soft silver and her long white hair looked like it was made of light. Her name was Ela, but no one here cared. They called her the Energy Girl. Her kind was rare. They were born with special energy in their blood. That energy could heal sickness, give strength, and even make a person younger. Many wanted it, but there was only one way to take it, by boiling her alive. Ela knew what would happen to her. She had seen it happen to others, her sister, her cousin, even her mother. Now she was the last one left. Her hands shook, her lips were dry, and her eyes kept scanning the crowd. She was looking for someone who might be different. A man stood at the back wearing a dusty jacket. His name was Jack. He was not rich. He was not famous. He was just a human engineer who worked with machines. He didn't even know why he came to the auction. Maybe he was curious. Maybe something had pulled him there. All he knew was that he felt uneasy. The auctioneer banged a metal rod on the stage. "The final item of the night," he shouted. "The last living energy being. Glows even without food. Strong energy inside her. Who wants her?" The lights focused on Ela's cage. She covered her face, afraid of the hungry stares. People started shouting numbers. 1 million credits. 2 million. 3. The price went higher and higher. Jack watched quietly. He had never seen anyone like her before. The way she sat, the fear in her eyes, the quiet strength in her silence. It hit something inside him. Then, something strange happened. Ela looked straight at him. Her silver eyes locked with his. And then, with her lips barely moving, she whispered something. He couldn't hear it clearly, but it sounded like, "Please, help me." Jack's chest felt tight. Around him, people laughed, shouted, and waved their credit chips. They didn't see her as a living being, just a tool, a machine to boil. The auctioneer raised his hand. "Going once, going twice. 10 million, Jack said. The room went silent. Heads turned. The guards looked confused. The auctioneer frowned. 10 million? He repeated. "Are you joking?" Jack walked forward. He showed his chip. It was real. He had saved this money for years. It was everything he had. A tall alien in a green coat stood up. "That girl belongs to the Syndicate. We came to buy her for research." Jack didn't back down. "You want her for research. I want her alive." There was a pause. Then the auctioneer laughed. "Sold. To the crazy human with 10 million credits." The crowd murmured. Some looked amused. Others were angry. The Syndicate agent stared at Jack with hate, but Jack didn't care. He walked toward the cage. The door opened. Ela didn't move at first. She was too weak, too scared. Then Jack reached out his hand. Slowly, she placed her small, glowing fingers in his. "Are you going to boil me?" she asked in a broken voice. Jack shook his head. "No, I'm going to take you home." Tears ran down her cheeks. No one had ever said that to her before. Not since her world was destroyed. As they walked out, people stepped aside. Some laughed, some whispered. But Jack held her hand tighter. She was not a prize, she was not a tool. She was someone who needed saving. Outside, the night was cold. Jack gave her his jacket. She wrapped it around herself, shivering. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "I don't know," Jack said. "But when you looked at me, I felt something, like I was supposed to." Ela looked up at the stars. "You don't know what you've done. The Syndicate won't stop. They'll come for me. They'll come for you." "Let them," Jack said. "We'll figure it out together." In that dark city, one human made a choice. A small choice. But it would change everything. Because the Syndicate did not forgive. And the girl he just saved? She held power no one fully understood. Not even herself. The real fight hadn't started yet. but it would soon. A human who didn't look away. Jack's home was small and quiet, far from the loud markets and cruel eyes of the city. It sat near a forest where no one came anymore. Inside, the lights were warm, the air smelled of old books and metal tools, and the silence felt safe. But tonight, that silence was broken by soft, shaky breaths. Illa sat on the edge of Jack's worn-out couch, wrapped in a thick blanket, glowing faintly like a dying star. She hadn't spoken since they left the auction. Her silver hair hung over her face and her arms hugged her knees. She looked like a child, but her eyes told another story, one filled with fear, pain, and endless running. Jack moved slowly, careful not to scare her. He placed a cup of hot broth in front of her. "You don't have to drink it," he said softly, "but it might help." Ila stared at the steam rising from the cup. Then in a quiet voice she asked, "Why didn't you look away?" Jack sat down on the floor beside her. "Because you were the only one in that room who looked human." Her eyes widened slightly. "But I'm not human." "I know," he said. "But you felt pain, you were scared. You begged for help. That's enough for me." Ila finally took a small sip of the broth. Her body shook as the warmth hit her empty stomach. A tear slipped down her cheek and she quickly wiped it away. "No one has helped me before," she whispered. "Only touched me to test my glow. Or to hurt me." Jack's hands curled into fists. "That won't happen again, not while you're here." She looked at him confused. "You don't even know me." "I don't need to," Jack replied. "You were in danger, that's enough." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of Jack's old heater. But then, Ila said something that made him freeze. "You weren't supposed to be there." Jack turned to her. "What do you mean?" "I've seen your face. Before," she said slowly. "In my dreams. Back when I was taken from my planet." He frowned. "That's not possible." "I know," she said, "but I saw you. You said, 'I'll take you home.' That's why I looked at you in the auction. That's why I begged." Jack felt something cold crawl up his spine. It sounded impossible, but somehow he believed her. Later that night, while Ila rested, Jack checked the news feeds. He typed her species name, Lumaari. Everything he found confirmed what she had said. Her kind once lived on a glowing planet full of peace and light. But the Syndicate discovered the energy in their bodies. They attacked without warning, boiled them, drained them, sold the energy in black markets, and now only one was left. Ila. And Jack had just stolen her from their hands. As he turned off the screen, a sharp sound came from outside, like a quiet hum, almost too soft to hear. Jack grabbed a scanner. A drone had passed above the house just seconds ago. "They're looking for her already," he muttered. In the other room, Ila sat up. Her glow was brighter. "They've found me." Jack moved fast. "We'll leave in the morning. I know some old routes, hidden roads will stay ahead." "But you don't have to do this," Ila said. "You saved me already. You can walk away." Jack shook his head. "I looked into your eyes. I saw a person. I won't let them take that from you." For the first time, Ila gave a small smile. "Then I will stay close. I won't run anymore." Outside, the wind blew gently, but far above, satellites turned their eyes toward Jack's little house. And far away, in a dark city tower, a Syndicate leader stared at a screen showing his face. The hunt had begun. Hunted by the Energy Syndicate. The wind was sharp that morning. Leaves flew across the dirt path as Jack packed supplies into the back of his old hover truck. Ila stood beside him, her glow hidden under a thick coat and scarf. The sky above looked peaceful, but they both felt the weight of eyes watching them. Somewhere out there, the Syndicate was moving. Jack didn't say much as he drove through the narrow forest road. Ila sat silently beside him, staring out the window. Her fingers trembled in her lap. She wasn't afraid for herself. She was afraid for him. "They'll come for you," she whispered after a long while. "I know," Jack replied. "They won't stop. Not until they have me." I'm not giving you back. She looked at him, eyes wide. Even if it means your death? He turned to her and said, I'd rather die doing the right thing than live watching you burn. For a moment, she couldn't speak. Her throat tightened with emotion. No one had ever spoken to her that way, not even her own people. Before, they were gone. As the truck moved deeper into the wild hills, a signal alert blinked on Jack's dashboard. A red dot flashed on a small screen. Something had pinged their position. Jack's heart jumped. They found us, he said. Illa looked at the screen. I didn't even use my energy. They must have tagged the truck back at the city. We have to ditch it. Within minutes, Jack drove the truck off a hidden cliff road, crashing it deep into a dry riverbed. He and Illa grabbed only what they could carry and ran. Hours passed. They climbed rocks, crossed frozen streams, and slipped into shadowy caves. Jack had built old rebel paths during his youth, roads meant to stay secret from trackers. He never thought he'd use them again. By nightfall, they found shelter in an abandoned power station buried into the mountain. Illa sat on the cold metal floor, her body dim and weak. Jack started a small fire with dry wires and scrap wood. They're faster than I thought, he said, wiping sweat from his brow. They want me for what's inside, Illa said softly. My energy. It's not just healing. It grows stronger when I feel strong emotions. Jack turned to her. What kind of emotions? Hope, kindness, love, but also fear, pain, rage. She looked at him. They want to control it. They want to control it, bottle it, sell it. Monsters, Jack muttered. Suddenly the room's old metal walls shook. A low hum echoed through the pipes. Jack pulled Illa behind a generator. A red light blinked through the broken glass windows. A Syndicate drone hovered outside. It scanned the building. Jack held his breath. Illa gripped his hand tight. For a moment, the drone paused. Then it flew away. That was too close, Jack whispered. Illa nodded. They're testing. Next time, they'll send soldiers. That night, Jack wired an old shield generator from the station. With Illa's help, her touch boosted the power. They cloaked the entire building with a signal blocker. You did that without hurting yourself, Jack noticed. I can give small energy, but the more I use, the faster I burn, Illa replied. You need rest. We'll move again tomorrow. But before they could sleep, Illa asked one question that stayed in Jack's mind all night. Why do you believe I'm worth saving? Jack looked at her glow and said, Because they see you as power. I see you as a person. Isn't that enough? In the distance, under the black sky, Syndicate ships floated silently, scanning, listening, and waiting. They didn't care about Jack. They didn't fear humans, but they would learn, because Jack wasn't just protecting a rare alien girl anymore. He was standing between two worlds, and he had already made his choice. She glowed to save a child. The small village was quiet, hidden between cold mountains and thick fog. No roads reached it. No lights marked it on maps. Only old wooden homes burning firewood and faces weathered by time. Jack knew the village well. It was where his mother had once lived before the world changed. No one there had ever heard of the Syndicate, and that was exactly why he brought Illa. As they arrived, old men watched from doorways and children peeked from behind walls. Illa kept her hood low, her glowing skin covered. She looked strange, but the villagers only saw a sick, tired girl, and Jack was one of their own. They stayed in a small cabin at the edge of the village. Jack fixed broken solar panels during the day to repay their stay, while Illa rested. But even there, the danger followed them in silence. One evening, as the wind howled through the trees, a woman banged on their door. Her face was pale with panic. In her arms, she held a small boy, no older than 5. His lips were blue. His chest barely moved. He's dying, the woman cried. We don't have doctors. Please, Jack, help. Jack froze. He knew he had no medicine, no tools, nothing that could save the boy, but then Illa stood up. Let me try, she said. Jack looked at her. If you use your glow, they'll find us. I know, she whispered. But he's just a child. She kneeled beside the boy, placed her hand gently on his forehead and closed her eyes. A soft light spread from her fingers, warm and golden, not like fire but like sunlight breaking through the cold. The room fell silent. Everyone watched as the boy's breath steadied. His lips turned pink again. His fingers twitched. Then he opened his eyes. The mother gasped and began to weep. You saved him. What are you? Ela smiled sadly. Just someone who didn't want to watch him die. But outside the window, something stirred. Far above the clouds, an old Syndicate satellite blinked to life. The flash of energy, though small, had been seen. A message was sent. A new ship launched. Back inside the cabin, Jack stared at the boy, now asleep in his mother's arms. He turned to Ila. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, she said. If we run from every chance to do good, what's the point of being free? Jack couldn't argue, but he also knew they had just become a target again. That night, Jack prepared for the worst. He buried weapons in the garden, rigged alarms, powered an old scanner. Ila slept, her glow now dimmer, her body tired. Saving the child had drained her, but she didn't regret it. The next morning, the alarm screamed. 3 Syndicate soldiers stepped out of a stealth ship at the edge of the forest. Dressed in black armor, their rifles glowing blue, they moved with silence and speed. But Jack was ready. He led Ila through an underground tunnel dug years ago during the war. As they crawled through the earth, she whispered, I can fight. Jack shook his head. Not when you're weak. But they both knew. Sooner or later, she would have to. Behind them, the soldiers entered the cabin. They scanned for life signs, found only empty clothes and fading footprints. The captain growled, They're close. Prepare for full sweep. In the distance, Ila and Jack surfaced in the thick woods. They were safe for now, but the moment she chose to save the child, everything changed. The Syndicate no longer wanted her quietly. They wanted her fast, alive or not. Jack looked at her and said, No more hiding. Next time, we stand. Ila nodded. Then teach me how humans fight. And just like that, the hunted girl who once begged for mercy was ready to fight back. The trap that burned. Them all smoke rose gently from the hill as the old power plant creaked beneath the weight of time. It hadn't worked in years, just another ruin from a forgotten war. But now Jack turned it into a battlefield. This wasn't just a place to hide, it was bait. Wires ran across the floor like roots. Traps waited behind broken doors. Old fuel cells lined the walls, patched together with care and purpose. Ila stood at the center, her silver hair tied back, her glow dim but steady. Her hands trembled, not from fear but from something new. Readiness. They're coming, aren't they? She asked. Jack nodded. Any hour now. Will this place hold? Long enough to send a message. Ila looked at the old reactor in the center. What happens if it explodes? Then I'll be remembered as the crazy human who blew up half a mountain to protect one girl. She smiled weakly. That would be a good story. But both knew. This wasn't a story. It was real. The Syndicate had tracked them again. Ila's moment of kindness had painted a target on them. Now, they would not run. This time, they would stand. Jack placed a small transmitter on a broken terminal and sent a false signal, an energy spike, strong and wild. It mimicked Ila's glow perfectly. The bait was set. Hours later, the hum of engines filled the sky. Black ships circled above. Syndicate soldiers dropped down, weapons drawn, scanners flashing. They took it. Jack whispered. They think you're still inside the reactor core. Ila stayed hidden in the lower chamber, watching the screens as soldiers spread through the corridors. They moved fast, trained, confident. Should we wait? She asked. No, Jack said. Time to show them. He pressed a switch. Gas valves opened. Hidden wires lit up. A loud crack snapped through the power plant as the traps triggered. Lights flared, smoke burst into the hallways, and weapons short-circuited in Syndicate hands. The soldiers stumbled, blinded, confused. Then Illa stepped forward. Her body shimmered with light. Not too strong, just enough to draw their eyes. She stood in the center of the main chamber like a ghost, her hands open. One soldier shouted, "Target locked!" But before they could fire, Jack hit the main control. The reactor doors slammed shut. Alarms screamed, steam hissed, and a deep rumble rose from the floor. The soldiers were trapped inside. From outside, Jack watched as blue sparks jumped across the tower. "They'll survive," he said, "but they'll remember what it felt like to be powerless." Ila walked beside him, breathing heavily. "That was dangerous." "So is mercy," Jack replied, but something was wrong. Ila's glow flickered. Her knees buckled. Jack caught her just before she fell. "You used too much energy," he said. She shook her head. "No, it's changing. Inside me. It feels stronger but colder, like it's not mine anymore." Jack carried her back to the woods far from the burning wreck. He laid her down under the stars and checked her pulse. Still strong, but different. "I'm scared," Illa whispered. "What if I lose control?" "Then I'll stop you," Jack said. "But I won't leave you." She smiled, tired and broken. "You really are strange for a human." "And you're strange for an alien," he replied. "But I think we're both better that way." Behind them, fire lit the sky. The Syndicate had lost this round. But they would return. With more ships, more fury, and next time they might not care whether Ila lived or died. Jack held her hand as she slept. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but if they wanted war, he was ready. Her last glow, or a new beginning. The morning was cold, but the light in the sky was soft. Birds chirped as if nothing had happened, but the world had changed. Smoke still rose in the distance from the destroyed power plant. The Syndicate had been burned, but not broken. And now, Illa was dying. Jack sat beside her in the cave they found after the escape. Her skin, once silver bright, had faded to dull gray. Her glow was nearly gone. Every breath she took sounded weaker than the last. "I can't feel it anymore," she whispered. "The light inside me, it's slipping." Jack's eyes were red from sleepless nights. "You gave too much. We pushed too hard." "I don't regret it," Illa said, a soft smile on her face. "That boy, his laughter was worth it, even if this is the end." "It's not the end," Jack said firmly. She looked at him. "You can't stop death." Jack didn't reply. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out something old, something forbidden. A small metal box, dusty and cracked. A red symbol was scratched across it. T-23 Regenerator. "This is illegal tech," Illa said, surprised. "It was banned after the last war," Jack replied. "Too unstable, too dangerous. But it's our only chance." He had stolen it years ago, during his time as an underground engineer. It was meant to rebuild damaged human tissue using energy feedback. No one had ever tried it on a Lumari. But Ila wasn't just anyone. "I don't want to hurt you," she said. "You won't," Jack whispered. He connected the wires to her temples, then placed his hand on the main node. "I'll share some of my own energy to boost it. Just hold on." The machine buzzed, then screamed. Blue light surged through the wires. Ila gasped, her back arching as energy surged into her body. The walls trembled. Her skin began to shine again, faint at first, then brighter. But her eyes snapped open in panic. "Something's wrong. It's changing me." Jack tried to shut it down, but the machine pulsed faster. "I can feel everything," Ila cried, "and the stars, the trees, you." Then silence. The light faded. The machine died. Jack crawled to her side. She was breathing, but something was different. Her skin now shimmered with a golden tint, like liquid sunlight. Her eyes glowed softly, deeper than before. She sat up slowly, no longer weak, no longer fading. "Jack," she whispered, "I think I've evolved." He stared at her. "What do you mean?" "My energy. It's not just healing anymore. It's alive. It listens." She stood, barefoot on the cave floor, her glow spreading like dawn light. Flowers outside began to bloom. The air felt warmer. "Can you control it?" Jack asked. "I don't know yet," she said, looking at her hands. "But I feel balanced, not burning, not breaking. It feels like a second chance." Jack let out a breath of relief. "Then we still have time." But the peace didn't last. A loud boom shook the earth. A flash lit up the sky. From the far ridge, 3 Syndicate ships descended. Bigger, louder, and faster than before. "They're coming," Jack said, loading his rifle. Illa placed a hand on his shoulder. "Let me try first." "What do you mean?" "I want to face them. Not as prey, but as someone they should fear." Jack didn't argue. They both walked to the edge of the hill. Wind swept through Illa's hair. Her glow pulsed steady and strong. As the ships hovered near, Syndicate speakers boomed, "Turn over the subject. You have 1 minute." Illa stepped forward. Her eyes burned with light. "I'm not a subject," she said aloud. "I'm the last Lumari, and I'm not running anymore." And for the first time, they listened, but whether it would end in peace or fire, they were about to find out. The girl who became a star. The sky was no longer calm. Thunder cracked without clouds, and the trees trembled as the Syndicate warships hovered above the ridge. Their engines roared, casting long shadows over the valley below. Villagers hid in their homes, afraid. And at the edge of the hill stood one human and one glowing alien girl. Illa stepped forward alone. She looked nothing like the frightened, weak girl Jack had rescued from that cage. Her silver skin now shimmered with golden warmth. Her long hair moved like liquid light. Her presence no longer begged for mercy. It demanded respect. A voice echoed from the lead ship. "This is your last warning. Step down and surrender." Jack raised his weapon behind her, ready to fight beside her again. But Illa raised her hand to stop him. "Not this time." Jack looked into her eyes. There was no fear, only strength. She turned back to the ships. "You've chased me across galaxies. You've hunted my people, boiled them for power, sold our light like oil." Her voice was calm but heavy. "And still, you're afraid of me." The ships began to charge their weapons. Blue lights blinked faster, ready to fire. Illa took one step closer, and then she opened her hands. Light burst from her palms. Not a flash, not a weapon, but a wave. Golden and warm, it swept through the valley like morning sun after a storm. The ships paused. Their systems flickered, the weapons short-circuited. Inside the ships, Syndicate soldiers gasped. They felt something strange. Peace. For the first time, they weren't drowning in orders or greed. They felt calm, and they didn't understand it. Jack watched in awe. "What are you doing?" "I'm showing them what my power truly is," she whispered. "Not death, not destruction, harmony." But one captain refused. He overrode the safety locks, shouted into the mic, and fired a missile straight at her. Jack shouted, "Illa!" But she didn't move. The light around her swirled, brighter than ever. The missile hit the glow and vanished. No sound, no fire, just silence. Then the ship that fired began to shake. Its engines roared out of control. The captain screamed over the speaker, but Illa raised her eyes. A single pulse of golden light burst from her chest. Pure, soundless, beautiful. The ship stopped moving. It lowered to the ground slowly, gently, like a leaf falling from a tree. Hila's body glowed like a small star now. Her feet rose slightly from the ground. She turned to Jack with a quiet smile. "They won't hurt anyone again," she said. "They've seen the truth now." Jack looked at her, eyes wide. "What about you?" She floated closer to him. "I can't stay." "What? Why?" "My energy. It's grown too much. I'm becoming part of something bigger. I can feel the stars calling. I'm not just Lumari anymore, Jack." Tears formed in Jack's eyes. "You can't leave." "I have to," she whispered, touching his chest. "But I will always carry you with me. Your kindness, your choice." It changed everything. As she rose higher, the sky seemed to brighten even though it was evening. Villagers stepped out, watching in wonder. The Syndicate soldiers dropped their weapons, falling to their knees, not in fear, but in awe. Then in one final pulse of golden light, Illa disappeared. But she didn't die. Her light spread across the stars. Her energy became part of the universe itself, gentle, warm, eternal. And somewhere, deep in space, children whispered stories of the girl who could heal with her hands, of the last Lumari who forgave her enemies, of the human who saw a person in a cage and gave her a second life. Back on Earth, Jack stood alone at the edge of the hill, hand on his heart. And every night after, when he looked at the sky and saw the brightest star, he smiled and said, "There you are.